I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is. Eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going on? It's not enough to say it's nuts. You have to explain why it's so nuts. The invention of artificial life, the cloning of human beings, possible contact with extraterrestrials, the systems which are in place to keep the world sane are utterly inadequate to the forces that have been unleashed.
Welcome back to Forbidden Knowledge News. I'm your host, Chris Matthew. Today my guest is Heidi Love. Check out my films. Doors of Perception is on Amazon Prime. Occult Louisiana is on Tubi, Roku, Apple, and more. If you'd like to make a donation for our film fundraiser for film number 3, we have links right in the description. Anything is greatly appreciated. We are booking guests for February. If you have suggestions or you'd like to be a guest, email me, forbiddenknowledgenews@gmail.com. Today I want to welcome back to the show Heidi Love. She is host of Unfiltered Rise podcast. She shares her insights from her journey and escape from a Mormon cult. She is also a psychiatric nurse that works to help others struggling with mental health issues. Heidi, welcome back. How you doing?
Good. I'm here to tell you some more about the Mormon Mafia, even though we might have thought we already heard it all.
Oh, no. There's so much, and from what you were telling me before we get started, this is going to be a banger. We're looking at connections between RFK, Sirhan, and the Mormon Mafia. You've done such great presentations so far. Looking forward to getting into this one. Before we do, remind the audience just a little bit about yourself and let them know how they can find out more.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you having me back. I always have a great time on your show and think it's always a super fun time.
Definitely.
So I am appreciative. So I am Heidi Love of the Unfiltered Rise. I'm everywhere podcasts are served. I do have my own website, unfilteredrisepodcast.com. If you don't want to do a chaser, it'll link you to there. But I do really encourage people to go to Spotify. I am on YouTube, of course. It's once a week. I kind of want to keep my channel. Some of the stuff I told you before we rolled, they're just going to nuke me for that, man. That's not, I mean, the Mormons own Spotify too. Yeah. So, but they seem to let me go. So I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, so that is all the places you can find me. You can also find interviews with me, either search bar Unfiltered Rise podcast or Heidi Love LUV. So thank you again.
On.
Yes.
Yeah, YouTube's been doing some interesting things. I got my channel back that they had taken away for 2 years, but still it seems to be heavily shadow banned, not getting the views that a 32,000 subscriber channel should be getting. It's very interesting, but they are allowing pretty much everything I'm putting up there. I'm not getting strikes anymore or any kinds of warnings or anything. So we'll see how that goes.
I have some stalkers, and shout out to the stalkers out there. This is a funny one. They actually think I plagiarized them because they read a book and plagiarized the book. So I'm getting reported on a daily basis because he thinks that that's his information. That's I'm like, oh, you wrote the Keys of Solomon. Actually, he commented on your show once. He is back. You actually commented back and told him, why are you gatekeeping, weirdo? And then he didn't like that. I'm like, that's also strange. None of us wrote these books.
Right.
None.
Yeah.
All the information I've presented is research, and research is usually for me books, or interviews or whatever. But most of the time it's books because they kind of fix everything else. It goes away.
Such strange gatekeeping in this community at times.
Oh my gosh. It gets weird, but this guy, he's just a lone nut. He's not affiliated with anybody in the real podcast community.
Well,
still reporting my channel, and guess what? Reporting everybody's channel.
That's so sad.
And so I just don't get it. It's weird. It's just weird. So that's why I have to be careful on YouTube.
Right on.
To be honest.
Well, where should we start with this new presentation? I'm excited.
Yes. I'm excited too. So I am going to pull this up and then share screen. I really love this one because it ties a lot of things together. I won't say everything because this is the gift that keeps on giving. And I just don't get it. Like, also, I don't know how RFK Jr. is still saying some of the stuff he said, before he got in anyway. I just listened to an interview that like to re-prep for this, and I was like, wow, how did you say the things you said back then? But not so much anymore. we don't hear that anymore.
Unfortunately, that's just the way it goes, man.
Yeah, you heard about Venezuela, I'm sure. Yes.
They need freedom.
So interesting. Very. Oh, we're just kidnapping people and taking regimes. It's totally fine. Totally fine. Don't worry about it. Well, also, the CIA and the three-letter agencies, we won't just single one out. They've done this kind of stuff from the beginning, but also to poor Sirhan. And I just feel awful about this whole thing for him because he really is a very innocent victim. Though he was into some dark stuff, I don't think it was anything that was like nefarious as far as murder. Yeah. And so Sirhan, just a little background, because you never know anything about somebody until you know kind of like about their family, how they grew up. So I do a little bit on him. He is he was born in Jerusalem. He's Palestinian, but he was never aligned with anything but Orthodox Christian. He's Christian. His mother worked for the Christian church. Okay. And so specifically Presbyterian church. And so they brought them here. They literally paid for this family to come here. And so when you're looking at the big narrative, right, like that doesn't really work with what they're kind of trying to play here. This whole, I'm going to be all about Palestine and I'm going to be this radical guy. He's a Christian and he was brought here by a church. So I don't know. But he was really horrifically scarred as a child. And I like this photo of him because he doesn't look, this guy doesn't look nefarious. He's like 5'2", I think is what he is. Or maybe 5'3", I think I read somewhere. He was a jockey. He was training to be kind of famous. Yeah. And people don't know a lot about him, but he was really tortured before he moved here. He saw like horrible stuff. Like he was bringing in water one time after there was a bombing and there was like a human arm in it that he didn't notice. Yeah. No. Yeah, it's bad. His sister died from leukemia. As soon as the family got here, his dad hated it and left and abandoned the family and went back. So like this guy's, he's been through it. Like if we want to go, the monarch, way, which I think he was, we have some real reasons there. Like it wasn't just a little bit. Okay. Also, another sister got hit by a car and killed. Oh, it was his brother ran over. He saw the whole thing. Like all of this stuff is happening to this poor kid. And, he was bullied. He was short. I mean, it just was a lot. He was going through it, man. So this family, comes here. This is Sirhan. He's the baby on the left, his family, and the father that, leaves this family pretty directly out.
Hell of a mustache on that guy.
Right? Look at this stash. Yeah, very Hitler-esque. Well, maybe.
Oh, and I want to remind the audience that's listening on the audio end, if you'd like to see the visuals for the presentation, come on over to YouTube or Rumble.
Absolutely. You won't want to miss it. Go check this out. So with Sirhan, we do know, like I said, that he's doing all this stuff and he's involved in all these things, but definitely horses and being a jockey is kind of his dream. And he goes to work at this place called Santa Anita, and it's the racetrack. But the funny thing is about this racetrack and Del Mar, he was also kind of shadowing over there, is, they're known mobster hangouts. They're owned by the mob. And all of these mobsters are kind of constantly all over there, as well as at the fun hangout places they go to. This is a fun one, like the Briar Patch. Aren't they creative? And the Cat Patch.
Nice.
Oh my gosh, made me laugh anyway. So he's there, he's with all these different people until he gets a gig at this like exclusive racetrack, which he gets from another friend that kind of sets him up. And this friend is going to be hugely important. And his name, he goes by Thomas Rathke, Rathke. He is an enigma, wrapped in an enigma. So probably his handler. I can't prove that, but I can show you some really interesting stuff. And this new place he goes to work at is owned by Desi Arnaz. Yeah, the Desi Arnaz, Buddy Epson, and Dell Robertson. And so he's there and he likes it a lot. Like I said, he's training to be a jockey. He's not there yet, but he gets thrown from a horse. Okay. And it causes like a TBI, basically. And these are, as you can see, release documents. And it literally says about Rathke and how they met, what I'm saying, and near this ranch in Chino at Vista del Rio. And so all of this stuff that I'm saying is right here, declassified now. He fell off a horse and he struck the back of his head. And so he was never the same ever again. And he suffered horrifically from headaches after this. So he was trying to find a cure, basically. And you also have to know he's still super influential from like his elders. This Rathke is very important to him. He doesn't have a steady girlfriend, nor has he ever. So it's like the perfect storm for, a little bit of programming here. Because Rathke slides up in there and he's kind of helping him learn some things and join something that people often know all about. So he is part of AMORC, AMORC. So the Rosicrucians. And people don't know about this usually.
I
if
did
you've
not
studied
know about
Sirhan
that. That is interesting.
Yes, and I like to show this proof right here just so you can see. This is his card, Mr. Sirhan. Here's his Rosicrucian 1966 card, because back then apparently they sent them like this.
So he may have been initiated by this other dude that you were just talking about.
Rathke. Rathke was kind of known to be this very interesting kind of magical. What they called him was a fundamentalist. And if you're Mormon, your ears just perked up or ever have been a Mormon. That's a really interesting word for us, right? Like fundamentalist. And so he was kind of this radical fundamentalist. They don't say what. It could be either process or a little outshoot of that. And basically that's what I'm leaning toward as I've studied. They won't name it. They just give you this vague fundamentalist. In fact, there's no photo of this guy, even though this is the time when photos are abound. We have photos of everybody else. Okay. So there's no reason why we shouldn't have one of Rathke. I mean, he's critical to this case and he's all over the CIA docs. So what happened there? Right. And clearly I think he's the plant. I mean, I think he's not there on accident, clearly. So this is one of these things where, and it shows right here, this is talking about his Rosicrucianism and the meetings. And so this is all in CIA declassifieds as well. So they know that this is kind of what was happening. They're talking about the Brotherhood and even the Brotherhood of the Way. Okay. So we're definitely diving into other things, right? And he's in this. It says Rathke started a Theosophical Society and Rosicrucian order of his own. So they're just saying fundamentalist in some things, but it was a mystical occult type organization. This is in the last paragraph. So we know this and this Brotherhood of the Way, which you have to understand. A lot of the offshoots of polygamy are called Brotherhood of the whatever. Okay. So not saying it was, just finding it interesting. I don't know. There's so little about it that I can't find hardly anything. This was a lucky
Heidi,
find.
just to let you know, you have a little crackle in your mic every once in a while. I'm not sure if that's something controllable.
New mic is on the way. I'm not
It's
sure.
not too bad.
Is that a little?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Is that better?
It's still coming
At all?
through
Okay.
every once in a while.
Still bad? I can back it up and see if that's better. Let me see if that's better.
Yes.
Any better?
Yes. Sounds better. Yes.
Okay. We'll back it up. Maybe it's a hot mic. Okay. So new mic on the way. Should be here tomorrow, I hope. And we have all this different stuff, like I said, about this esotericism, but also at this time, there's this widely circulated theory, rumor, however you want to put it. Okay. That Manly P. Hall, yes, the Manly P. Hall had a connection to Sirhan. Okay. And Manly P. Hall at this time is the best friend of the governor of California. So we have a huge, big, like what is happening here?
Yeah.
Right. Like, and not only that, but the Mormons haven't showed up yet, but don't worry, they're there. And we have all this going on, and supposedly, like, Sirhan was looking for this cure for his pain in his head, and they took him to see Manly P. Hall, supposedly.
Wow.
There is no proof. There is no proof for this whatsoever, but it is all over the place. So your guess is as good as mine, but I will tell you this. All of a sudden, Sirhan disappears, okay? He just disappears for months at a time. They call it his going dark, okay? And nobody can find him, not even his mom, and she's getting really concerned. So they're shouting the alarm. It's not like people are saying, oh, it's totally fine. And, you know, later on, Sirhan recounts that he does remember being in a hospital for months, and he was gone approximately 3 months, but he doesn't remember anything. And so this is going to be really important later, right? Like, we're going to talk about how this all fits in, but I want to just wrap up Rathke because we're not going to get a whole lot more on him, but I did find some obituaries, which is where I a lot of times find my information. I found 2. One is supposedly the right one in California, wrong middle name, wrong a bunch of things, but I did find this one that had the right name and the right a lot of things. And this guy's name is actually Walter Thomas Rathke, which is why he was such an enigma, wrapped in enigma, and it's probably not even his name. But he did pass away on March 28th, or not March 28th. He was born on March 28th, 1907 in Germany, the first of 4 children. And it talks all about when they moved and how they moved to Berlin and were converted to Mormonism. Yay. So Rathke, the only Rathke I can find completely that matches on the internet with the correct middle name and everything is this, where you're like, oh, okay, well, was that what's up? Right? That seems very interesting, especially knowing, you know, Mormon missionaries are going in as spies. They're going into these areas. They're bringing back converts, and they're bringing back other people too that say they've converted just, you know, to get them here, basically. So it's kind of interesting to me that all of this fits where nothing else does. Like I said, I can't prove it, but that's one hell of a connection.
It is.
I mean, genetics are genetics, right? We can't toss them out. It's in there. We've got genealogy. So I guess we'll say genealogy, not genetics. So at this time, like I said, Sirhan is missing. We have no idea where he is, where he went, anything about him, but we do know where he shows up later because he is implicated at a shooting. Clearly, we know this shooting of RFK. Well, the problem with this shooting is, number one, Thomas Noguchi, and number 2, RFK Jr. himself states that Sirhan did not shoot his father. And anybody can look this up, but the physical circumstances of the scene and assassination is that, you know, the president's brother was shot from behind in his head, and it's all located on all of these autopsy reports from Noguchi, who was so careful because of what happened with JFK. He called in the top member for each like branch of the armed forces and whatever, like the Army, the Navy, all of them, to come and watch him while he did this autopsy because he wanted no shenanigans. Yeah. He was like, no, I'm not. There were actual burn marks on the back of his head, and those were the shots that actually killed him. So here's the diagram right here, and they ruined Noguchi after this. So this is the kill shot. And it definitely is a kill shot. And there were burns on his skin from the contact with the firearm. So, like, okay, we do know RFK got shot that day. We knew other people like Schrade got shot and a whole bunch of other people got shot. You know, there were weapons discharged. But the funny thing is we also know Sirhan's weapon did not fire as many rounds as were fired and were all over the place. Okay. They've got him in the wall. They're taking him out, like literally. They're everywhere. And it got to the point where Thomas Noguchi actually went to the president of the United States at the time and wanted him to intervene in this case, and they did not. Wow. So, yeah, but of course they wouldn't because, you know, They didn't want Bobby in there. Bobby was a problem for them, and that is a known fact. And Bobby was interfering in Cuba and interfering with the mob and Castro and all the things that they were trying to do at that time, where he's trying to get rid of these mobsters that are trying to align and help the government take Castro out. Why? Gambling. And where do we go back to for gambling? Las Vegas.
Wow. This seems to be the same game plan for so many high-impact events and assassinations, where they have your mind control fall guy who is in the vicinity of where the assassination occurs. Who can tell how much involvement that person actually has? But there's also multiple other shooters that are involved, and it gets so convoluted that you have no idea what really happened, who was really involved. But the fall guy is the guy that everything is blamed on. From what we know, who knows what even happens to them after these events occur?
Oh, 100%. And this poor guy is still there. People forget he is still alive, sitting in a prison. And RFK Jr. himself has petitioned for his release. And he was set up for parole and granted parole. And guess who shut that down? Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom, you're a piece of shit. Okay. So my opinion, not the opinion of the show. But I'm just saying in general, like, there's obviously agendas. There's obviously things at play, but at this particular day, this was 100% a setup and a patsy. You're correct. And part of this setup is this guy behind Sirhan, who is quite tall. Okay. Remember where that kill shot was. Now, Bobby Kennedy wasn't a short guy. And if Sirhan had shot at the president from behind, which he was never from behind, and everybody there signed affidavits stating he was never behind, he was absolutely apprehended immediately, never behind Bobby. So we know that that did not happen, yet there is a kill shot in between, right at the base of his skull. And so he's tall. Remember that. This kid is very short, at max 5'3". So the trajectory is wrong. Everything about it is wrong. He goes into this fog. He's missing this whole thing. And we have arriving on the scene this new, brand new 3-day hire on. And he is part of the security at the hotel. Bobby wasn't even supposed to go through the kitchen. Okay. When this all occurred, he was rerouted through the kitchen, and he is now greeting kitchen people going, what the hell is happening? We're supposed to go to the next room. We were off to Chicago. That was the last thing he said, which is very interesting. And he's going through this back room where they're leading him through basically a tight maze. He should have never been back there. He was led back there by the arm and specifically placed back there and into this pantry area, which, Thane Eugene Caesar is the one directly behind him when all of this goes down. And like I mentioned, Thane Eugene Caesar is quite tall. This is him again. He's also missing his little tie. It got ripped off, apparently, in the scuffle, and was laying on the floor next to Bobby after everything is going down. His tie's actually right there. So all of this stuff is going down, and I'm telling you, there's a lot more to this story. See it right here? Than meets the eye. Yes. And these pictures were confiscated, and that's a whole nother story, but it's fascinating. But we have to get into Thane. So if people want to look it up. It's amazing little story about how they confiscated this guy's camera that was a young kid, and he got it back. So that's how we get some of these crazy photos that are actually of the scene itself. And like I said, Thane Eugene Caesar, or Eugene Caesar, as he was often known, hates the Kennedys. He is a Klans member. He's very upset about this whole race war, and he's all upset because of Manson, and he kind of definitely goes on to say, he says, I would have never supported Kennedy. I hated his guts. Like, it was like a huge thing. But Thane is very interesting because of where he works at his other job. Now, he took this crap hotel job, which is his second job, and he's been on the job 3 days. But his main job is he's an employee of Lockheed Skunk Works. Okay. He's got top level security. He's literally on the top of the top on security as a, guess what, plumber. They're always plumbers, plumbers. Yeah. I don't know what he's.
You saying you can't trust plumbers?
I mean, plumbers, just the ones that work for three-letter agencies. The rest of you are fine, right? But it's interesting when we look at this because we know that, the trajectory fits very well for Mr. Thane. And Thane Eugene Caesar had other jobs before he worked for Skunk Works, and they're even more interesting because he used to work for the Mormon Church.
There it is.
And yeah, so he also works underneath at this very time, Ben Rich. And Ben Rich, of course, is this one here. He's a pioneer in stealth technology, propelled the U.S. Air Force to supremacy. And I think it's this slide. Yep. Ben Rich, the former head of Lockheed Skunk Works, was a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, often referred to as Mormons. Yeah, that guy. Where did Ben Rich grow up or have the majority of his younger life? The Philippines. Where did Thane Eugene Caesar run off to until the day he died? The Philippines. Wow. Who did they both have in common? The Mormon Church. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist there, but whatever, The interesting pieces of this whole story also are that Thane Eugene Caesar had never fired his weapon. Then he can't remember if he fired his weapon. Then, he thinks he did fire his weapon. Yeah, but he sold his weapon and they never tested his fingerprints. They never tested him for anything until way later. Funny enough, he did test positive when they finally did. And the police just basically let this go. That's a big nothing burger. And this is all quotes from RFK Jr. himself. So with 77 people in the pantry, every eyewitness said Sirhan was always in front of my father, 3 to 6 feet in distance. He fired 2 shots toward my father before he was tackled. From under the dog pile, he emptied his 8-chamber revolver, firing 6 more shots in the opposite direction, 5 of them striking bystanders and 1 going wild. But Caesar was directly behind my dad, holding the gun or holding his elbow with his own gun drawn when my dad fell backwards on top of him, which is when his tie fell off. People say that he grabbed it on the way down. So, I mean, it should have been pretty easy, especially the fact that he sold the gun and had the guy sign a little statement, saying that he knew it had been involved in a police skirmish, but not this. And so it all gets tracked back for sure. And like I said, not only had Caesar had a high-level security clearance at Lockheed plant, as well as the second highest clearance at Hughes Aircraft. Don't forget about Howard Hughes, y'all.
Yeah.
And then down here, General Motors, ran by who? The Romneys and the Mormon Church and the CIA. So
wow, that's amazing you found all those connections.
I mean, I just find it amazing that the guy's still sitting in prison. It's sad, actually. And Sirhan wrote some crazy stuff. I'm not saying that when they didn't apprehend him, things didn't get kind of wild, because they did. He was just writing. These are the gunshots, by the way. I wanted to just show you. They did a real full examination of everything and just didn't care. Here's the note about Thane selling his gun and the serial number. So all of this is super documented. I mean, I don't understand the whole let's keep hiding this, keeping this guy in prison. It looks pretty bad for Newsom, in my general opinion. He should have let him out when he was paroled. Then he could have just said it wasn't me, it was the parole board. I didn't do it. Right?
Yeah. Well, okay. They did such a good job frying the guy's brain. There's not any protest coming from him.
So that's what we're going to get into next. So this is from Sirhan's notebook. When they got into his house and confiscated his things, they found all these weird notebooks. I'm sure you love those little pieces right there. Yeah. And so we've got just tons of information from Mr. Sirhan. And so maybe that's why they don't want to let him out because they're worried what he'll say. I just don't know. He does have all of this as well. This is his writing, Black Magic, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But he's just like spewing like automatic writing. He would look like RFK, 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 RFK. Like it was really weird. But then there was some stuff that just said like hungry, hungry, hungry. But there was one that said Illuminati. And that one, I was like, oh, isn't that interesting? I think it's this one right here. Let's see. Mirror, mirror, my mirror, my mirror.
Yeah.
Amork, Amork. Yes, yes, yes. Like gets crazy and it's about to get crazier because you think I've told you the craziest part and you know what? We haven't even gotten close.
Wow.
And he's writing things like Illuminati, Illuminati. Like he's in it. Like whoa. Okay. Don't forget the Manly P. Hall stuff here because it's going to be important.
According to a lot of researchers, that repetitive writing is indication of something that was used in MK Ultra programs called psychic driving.
Yes. Yep. And there's a book called, I don't think I have it down here, Project Seek. And a lot of people will just toss it out. It's kind of like the Gemstone Files, but like a lot of people say, oh, that doesn't matter. That never happened. Does it? It's always two truths and a lie. It's never two lies and a truth. Let's maybe look at the books. Okay. It's important. This guy comes back emaciated, doesn't know where he's been, doesn't know anything. Well, we get a couple clues, and it's kind of funny because the clues that we get come from just kind of a weird source when we get to this guy here that's next. And this guy is like the best treasure trove ever. This is Dr. William Joseph Bryan. Dr. William Joseph Bryan is a blip because he dies very shortly after he goes public with what he said. So I'm going to tell you what he said and who he said it to. But he, like many other figures directly involved in the murder of the Kennedy brothers, he actually dies under mysterious circumstances in 1977. And this all links back to Roselli, Sam Giancana, all these people. And basically what happens is this guy liked hookers. This is the best story ever. And he weighs like 300 and something pounds. And so he's paying these hookers, but he likes to flap his lips, right? So the mob's probably pissed. And he likes to tell these women, and I don't understand this whole thing. Like, keep your damn mouth shut. You might live, but like, I guess he didn't get the memo. I don't know. But it's funny because they walk in and they just say, yep, he's fat, heart attack. He's not very old. Okay, he's not old. And so these hookers are like freaked out and they're like, no, he was telling us all about this crazy story. It's crazy. They're like, you're just whacked out on drugs. Like, get out of here, right? So like they don't care. Get out of here, hookers. Yeah. Like that was it, right? Okay. And that's all that happened after Joseph Bryan admits that he not only hypnotized Sirhan, that he was integral in the part of the Boston Strangler. He actually was a known hypnotist. He's super involved in the government at a top level as a hypnotist. And he went on this guy's, I can't remember his name right now. He went on this guy's radio show. I'll find it. And guess what? It's a Mormon radio show. This guy's like a big freaking deal, like back in the day. He's like one of those like big talk show radio guys. And so he goes on there and literally dies like directly after, like boom. Like he's like, you know what? I hypnotized Sirhan and it was easy and it was the easiest crap I ever did, blah, blah, blah. And then like, boom, dead. Wow. And I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because like, dude, what did you think was going to, I mean, well, what were you doing there? I don't know what you're doing. Like, that seems insane, but you know, each their own, right? Maybe they were threatening him and it was his play at like, oh, I'm just gonna tell everything and then maybe they won't get me. Yeah. Like, I don't know. But, you know, I don't think it's a great idea to go on KABC radio. Here it is. Ray Briem, Briem. This is a Mormon radio whole thing. Yeah. And he goes on there and freaking tells, like, spills his guts, okay, that he's belonging to a secret hypnotic group. This guy's like 3 episodes in himself. We're just doing the quick and dirty, you know, because we have to. But I'm telling you, like, he is fascinating And so he's the president of the American Institute of Hypnosis, and the headquarters of which were located on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. So he's famous for having hypnotized Albert DeSalvo, the Boston Strangler. So all of this stuff is very well documented. This is just one document, but I mean, you can see it's not me making up stuff. Like, this is real. This is like a real document. And there's tons of them out there. In fact, declassified docs talking about it, all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about
it's
that.
Very. Oh, I'm going to do one on him, because also we get into another. So how do we find out that we think Sirhan even was hypnotized at all? Well, that's because the defense brings in Dr. Diamond, and that's a really funny thing. He's a hypnotist too. And so they're like, we're going to hypnotize you to see like what happened, but don't you think it's funny that they did that? Because now you've got two hypnotists. And if I tell anybody, hey, that guy that hypnotized Sirhan, everybody remembers Dr. Diamond. Everybody. And then you've got the gemstone file and Dr. Diamond, and Sapphire is on here, and this other project. Like, I don't know. It seems really sussy to me, but whatever. Seems like a cover up, They'll use these things like to get rid of the true story. And Dr. Joseph Bryant is largely forgotten, except in process church or amorc circles where, it kind of gets around. So they want him largely forgotten, but he was like obviously important. He's like the president of the psychiatric, whatever, that I read you, this institute. Like he's worked with a bunch of people in 3-letter agencies. He's working with the mob. Like, what's going on there? I mean, you can just make that disappear clearly. And then nobody remembers.
I love
anymore,
it. Most people hear about him being hypnotized and some of the outcomes, but they never look into the doctors and people that were actually behind it and doing it in their background and what they're connected to. So this is great.
Yes, that's a lot of times my the way I research things. People don't always understand, like, well, where did you come up with that? Or what were you doing there? Well, you have to disseminate everything that you know about the person, including like their grandma and their grandma's grandma and their grandpa's. Like, you have to go all the way back if you want the real story. And I told you a little bit about that, and we'll do a little teaser for like what's coming soon. And I'm going to do basically a robber barons of America, from the Mormons, because when you look at these families, Joseph Smith, the nobody that's a dumb farm boy from, outskirts of New York somewhere, not at all. Nothing of that is true. And he's got 7 relatives on the original Mayflower, which ends up with the whole thing with the Pilgrim Society. Like, he's fully linked in. He's fully getting like Hebrew lessons from somebody named Seixas, who gave the first prayer over Thanksgiving, the first ever Thanksgiving. Like, he's connected to the president. What? Like, that's not a nobody, man. Yeah. That's not a nobody. No, there's stories upon stories. And another fun story is Joseph Smith's mom. Well, that grandmother on that side directly related to Bill Gates. Directly. Like, come on now. Come on.
These people seem to be related too in some way.
They definitely are. And I'm telling you, it goes off into so much more than just one secret society. People think I'm picking on only the Mormons.
It's a spider web of secret societies.
That's right. And what else? Not just secret societies. Religion.
Yes.
The religion is huge. Yeah. The religion is the biggest part of it, because the religion is the piece that they can hide underneath. The secret society always gets sussed. It always gets sussed out. We always find it at the end of the day because they do weird shit, Yeah. I mean, why are you trying to hide when
they do weird shit and they have to signal about the weird shit they do with the symbolism.
Right. Let's do your little handshakey, blah, blah, and wear a patch, get a necklace. That's stupid. What are you doing? Why are you doing that? But the real gangsters, the real gangsters, and this was my grandpa, and he was from Chicago, okay? And he was a gangster, he was his whole life. And he used to tell me, not a gangster like for the mob, but just like he was a hoodlum, we'll say that. And was my grandma's biggest child. He was a non-Mormon. She married him anyway. He was really cute. I mean, I get it. But also, he told me this. You will never in your life hear who is in charge of anything from somebody like that's just bragging or they're a punk. And he used to call him that. And that's a bad word back in the day. Okay. He's like, the only thing if I can give you an advice about secrets, is the only way to keep a secret between three people is to kill the other two. Don't tell people shit you don't want known. And I'm like, I just live my life opposite, and I just put everything out there because I don't want to keep secrets. I'm not good at keeping track of all that, right. Yeah, but some people do, and they take that very seriously, So these people that my grandpa would talk about, like, you think this mobster's like the real person, this guy that's on TV, like, get out of here with that. That's not real. That's not real. Just like the Rothschilds. What does their name mean? Red Shield. Yeah. And what are they? They're a damn shield. Let's be real.
100%.
What do you do with a shield? Yeah, you hide behind it. So I think they tell us. I just think people don't listen, I mean, they put all these documents out there. They're out there for everybody to see. It didn't take, people are always like, oh, you find many hard things. Some things are in some hard books I've found, but some things are just right there,
Their revelation of the method, they mix truths in with so much BS that it makes it difficult to decipher, but it's there.
It's there because it's two truths and a lie, because you look less credible if you just always lie.
Yeah.
So they have to tell you some things, and they do. They do. They tell us all the time. And they do this, even RFK Jr., like a lot of this stuff that I'm quoting is directly from RFK Jr. There's about a bajillion interviews where he talks about the CIA and Operation Artichoke and all these different things that were going on, and how they bought the Chicago, that it's no big surprise how they bought the Chicago elections, and that they found ballots in the river. And like, all of this happened before he got in. He was trying to get in, which I'm shocked that the only reason why they didn't take care of him is because it would just be another spectacle,
Yeah.
And then he's a pariah, right? Then you're a pariah forever. And it's just a problem for them. It's worse to have a hero that's dead, right? Like an unsung hero, than let him look crazy or dirty or whatever the hell they want to do, So just like us, I'm always like, hey, why doesn't the Mormon church come and at least excommunicate me? Okay. I'm right here in Utah, y'all. Like, they have excommunicated so many others for like the least things, that believe, people that believe, but not me. Here I am, blah, 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 all this, And I'm like, okay, either they want me to look crazy, or it goes back to bloodlines, which I believe both, who knows? But definitely there's a ton of books about all of this stuff that I'm telling you. I do want to mention, that there were people that really did try to sound the alarm, including Noguchi. He really tried. Like I said, he went to the president of the United States and asked him to have the FBI intercede and test the bullets, forensic methods, all kinds of stuff. And he was fired. He was fired for this. So, who fired him? This guy named Krantz. Oh, Krantz went on to serve as counsel for the Army and Navy, for Reagan, Bush, and Bush Jr. So, and on the Council of Foreign Relations. So when we're looking at stuff, you have to understand, like, they care nothing about all of us. Like, we're just another Sirhan too.
Right.
Like, we're all one step away from being set up for something, Like, honestly.
It's true. I feel like we're part of a mass MK Ultra experiment.
It's so true. And, even the weirdest things that I found, like, okay, and the Mormons are always there, and people always say, well, you just like to pick on the Mormons. And I'm like, look, this one is Mormon-esque. There's Mormon ties around it, but it wasn't directly like, well, he wasn't Mormon. He worked for the Mormon church. But I will tell you, all of this had to do with why the big, deal about making sure he didn't make it, right? Well, Nixon was their guy. Nixon was bought and paid for by the Mormons, okay, through Howard Hughes, through a bribe to Nixon's brother. And Nixon's brother took this bribe for $500,000, which back then was a lot of money. And it was a loan he never had to pay back. Okay. This is a picture of him right here. And this is Don Nixon. He's like the whole reason for all of this mess. Well, not all of it, but a lot of it. Okay, because he took this. All right, he took this bribe. We know that there's all these pieces that go together with the John Birch Society. I mentioned the KKK. The Mormon Church is extremely involved at this point with the John Birch Society. In fact, the prophets were John Birchers at this point. People need to look at this and the connections to the presidents at this time. But definitely Howard Hughes wanted to make sure that Nixon got in. And why? Well, he didn't want to pay taxes on his bajillions of dollars. Like, I don't know when enough is ever enough. But he wanted to incorporate all of his stuff under Howard Hughes Medical Institute, which it is to this day, HHMI. And that's where the bulk of his estate went. And he can't do that with planes. Like, it doesn't make it doesn't work, right? It's not charitable. Like, what are you doing with the plane? Like, it's a corporation, but he gets it through. And how does he get it through? Well, I don't know, because the IRS denied it twice, but guess who pushed it through after that little loan? Nixon did. Bet your ass he did. And so, like, when we look at the money for all of this, we start to see that, Hughes definitely didn't want RFK in. That's not his guy. He didn't purchase him. He purchased another, and he wanted Nixon in. Nixon was his guy. He was 100% in. And then the whole Watergate business happened, and I think we more than touched on that last time. But most of those guys involved in that whole situation, including the Mullen Company, all of that, Bob Bennett, H.L. Hunt, all of them are underneath the Mormon Mafia. Like, Bob Bennett is a full-blown, absolutely Mormon that had like the most genealogical, like, important Mormon roots ever. So yeah. We're talking about people that matter. The Mormon Church had a rise, and they did this through sugar. We know there was a sugar conglomeration, right, at some point, and a railroad conglomeration at some point, and this is what the barons kind of were over, that and alcohol, let alone P2 and Daddy Kennedy. We can't even get into that right now. But I will give you guys this teaser. Listen, there's some things about Daddy Kennedy, Joe, that people don't know. And one of them is that he was the owner of RFK Films. He made movies. And who else made movies? Howard Hughes did. Oh. These people ran in the same circles. And it is a well-known fact that Thane Eugene Caesar hated Black people, and that Howard Hughes also was against any kind of race movement. And he didn't care. He told them to all go suck eggs when it was like affirmative stuff. He's like, no, I'm not doing it. I don't care. Fine me. I'll pay the fine. These people were in certain, leagues together, and it all goes back to what? Amorc is important then, isn't it? Because then you get into the Great White Brotherhood and all this stuff that's laid out by Blavatsky, but way before her. Like, I mean, she made a book, sure, but like, who did that really come from? This is older than her. So, we get into Atlantis, we get into all these tales, and they seem like silly nonsense until they don't. So, we have to look at the full picture and of these corporations and where they went afterward, and they go on to be huge. In fact, this guy here is Gay. His last name is Gay, Bill Gay. And Mayhew, this is Mayhew, and Gay takes over Howard Hughes Medical Institute. Mayhew is literally working for the FBI, and he's involved with a bunch of people from the Chicago office. He worked there for 10 years, including the Maury Island affair and aliens. And guess who else knew about aliens? Howard Hughes. And there's been a lot of interesting correlation with Utah and portals. And I do think whether you want to believe in extraterrestrials or interdimensionals, I don't think we're all alone here.
Right.
You know,
What's going on with portals
I
in
say
Utah?
interdimensional. Oh, well, their genealogical center that's, armed and on a big, huge mountain with the side of the mountain blown off. Have I shown you that before?
I don't think so.
I'm going to show you now because it's fascinating. Yeah. They say that it's just for genealogy records. Okay. That's all it is. It don't look over here. It's armed. If you try and go in there, you will get shot with semi-automatic weapons. Like this is not a little bit armed. This is crazy. Okay. They blew the whole side of a mountain out and you cannot get to it. So this is when it first was started here. And then this is a picture of it more recently. Look at the bars on that. Look at the slide down bars. You can't get in or out. This road is like the smallest, tiniest. I have a better like trajectory from the top. Here you go. Tiny, tiny razor wire, semi-automatic weapons, all just to guard your genealogy files, for heaven's sakes. Not DNA, just genealogy. Okay. I've had multiple people talk to me about this place that have tried to sneak in, and they say one thing, and I can't bet this because I'm not going there. They say the razor wire faces in, not out.
Oh, interesting.
What are they doing there?
Wow.
We also know there's a huge grid of tunnel systems that are well announced and used by the Mormon Church, also guarded by their own CIA secret society. And you will get shot if you try to use them without their permission. Like, no joke.
From what I understand, there's some wild stuff going on in Utah. Of course, they have the Skinwalker Ranch, and my friend Ryan Burns talks about these facilities that are doing some sort of strange DNA research with animals and possibly making some kind of chimera beings. It's wild.
Oh, I love that you said that. I absolutely love that you said that. And I wished I had this photo pulled up, but I will send it to you if you'd like.
Yeah.
I have a quote from Romney, and he says, "We are not like other people. We come from the donkey or the mule." I can't remember how he phrases that. What the hell does that mean?
What does that mean?
What does that mean, right? And so this is the exact quote. Romneys were not descended like other humans. The family saying goes, we descended from the mule.
The mule, eh?
Just because they're stubborn.
That's weird.
People might want to look into the eugenics program and the genetic cleansing of Utah. And that did happen. And, Dr. Hyde, yes, Orson Hyde's son, who's extremely important, and people will know this if they follow, Mormonism at all. Orson Hyde, the Jewish convert that actually went to Israel and claimed the land on the Mount of Olives, saying a prayer, dedicating it to the church and to America before the Balfour Declaration. Yeah, that happened. That happened. Strategically and nationally, that means something. That's a little frightening. Why are, Mormon Zionists? They often are. They'll tell you from the time I was a little tiny girl, I was told we always support Israel. I didn't even know what Israel was. Like, I was a kid. I was like 6, I was told, like, if anybody comes to your door and they're, saying anything about Israel, like, even let them chop your head off, like some crazy stuff when I was a kid. Okay. And that might be radical for my family. Maybe that was just my family, right? I can't say that's the Mormons, but that was my life. Okay. And I was a Mormon. Funny enough, I asked my husband, because his family's nothing like mine. I've got some thuggy people, but not thuggy people at all, like very Mormon royalty, basically. When I say that, I mean the beginnings of Mormonism and back, and actual royalty in England. My husband comes from lines that intersect with the Smith line itself. And I said, but they're like the Mollyist Mormons. Molly Mormons are like the perfect, or TBM's, True Blue Mormon. And I said, did you ever hear about this whole head cutting off thing? And he's like, yeah, I remember that too.
Wow.
This is a non-violent family that's like completely Molly Mormon. Like they would not say these things, like normally.
Wow.
So it's out there,
Yeah.
man. And when we look at all of this combined with this is the inside, just one tiny little piece of this genealogical center. Nobody's ever allowed in there at all. And it's all climate controlled and it's deep and it goes underground and all kinds of stuff. Some of these underground tunnels are actually highways. Like they're that big.
What do you think the end game for the technocracy really is? Because, as you know, there are multiple layers to every agenda, multiple purposes for everything they're doing. And I think there is a spiritual warfare level to everything. I think there are unseen forces at play. As we were saying earlier, we don't know the faces that are really in power. We know that there are middle management actors that are pulling strings, pulling off high-impact events to steer society in certain directions. But what's the ultimate goal for it all? Where do they want us to go? And what is the spiritual level of what they're trying to achieve? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, this is such a good question. So I believe that I have a episode coming out tomorrow, and it's going to be about the Skull and Bones of Utah. And is one, and it's not just a copycat. Okay. It was sanctioned by the Skull and Bones original society members, and they were sent here to set it up. And they were actually alma mater and sent here and set that up. Why is that? Well, that's because it's their family, because Joseph Smith is fifth cousins to Huntington Russell, whatever. And so that set that up, the Skull and Bones. And I think that's weird. I think it's also weird that he's cousins with the Rockefellers. But like I said, he's part of the Pilgrim Society. And when we look at this bigger, you have to understand about all these societies. There's so many. There's just so many. But they have an agenda, and they always have had. And part of that is transhumanism. I'm sorry, but it's true. Part of that, and I know it sounds nuts, like One did a really good job at, the whole homunculus thing. And people just thought it was so crazy. And I think it was just a little above his time. Yeah. And I think that people need to understand that
I
this
love
stuff
Juan's
is
work.
real, and they can. I do too. I actually wrote him an email telling him, come back, but I get it. Like, not because I knew him on a personal level, just because I really appreciated his work, you know? But we look at these different societies and where they set up and these eugenicist programs and all of this strange stuff. And a lot of it is right here in Utah. Then we get to these genetic records, these genealogy records, and where the hell did they come from, right? Well, I can answer that question for you, and I can give you a little clarity on how long all of this has been going on. Everybody looks at Bill Gates' dad, and I did mention that Bill Gates is definite family of Joseph Smith himself. And they all have this certain, ideal, right, of how we should all be humans, right? Like, and those that shouldn't make it, like, really, they don't care. And I think they want to elevate the society with integration, just like we talked about with this great, white brotherhood, which doesn't mean all the way white. So people need to look into that, but that's Blavatsky. And I think that they think, A, that they're superior, B, that the rest of us kind of shouldn't exist. And they kind of show you this, right? Like, I mean, this is a fun one. This is one of the prophets of the church that's passed away, and Baby Bush, right? Like, that's not a Masonic handshake, people. That's a secret society handshake. And I think that, when you look into the Rosicrucians and what really happened with the very first Rosicrucians that came here on the Mayflower. And we get into the Jacobins, and we get into all of these different things that people are, breaking into these societies with. And that's where it all goes back to. Zabbatai Zevi is hugely important. If people don't know what that is just a huge piece of this puzzle, right? They're trying to bring about the end times. They're trying to force perfection. And what was the original, like, Illuminati called? Do you know? Because I do.
What's that?
It's It's called the perfectibilis.
Oh, really? I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. And then the other word for that they were going to go with is the bees.
I've heard of the bees.
What is Utah? The Utah's the beehive state. It's on our flag. It's on our motto. It's all about us. And then we got people saying they hail from donkeys. Okay. You know, there's genetic experiments that were documented. There's actually, you know, when you read like the Book of the Cow and all these weird things that Juan gets into, you know, we've got certain societies here that don't make any sense with the religion overcastness. Like, why is this society here? Why was this one of the original societies here, like Paracelsian society here in Utah? Why is that happening? And why do we have all of these strange things like a spiritualism type movement where we have Joseph Smith, no shit, his head on top of a sphinx at Bilbao Gardens, okay? Which that name is also interesting. And we have all this weird stuff that nobody can explain. They're just like, you're super crazy. Like, you're just crazy. Okay. Well, who are some of the leading people right now in CRISPR technology? I can tell you one. Howard Hughes Medical Institute. Remember them? Yeah, they're funded by money that was left over. And who maintained that money until the day he died? That would be William Gay. And William Gay goes on to form another company, and he goes together and makes HGZC. It's like the Huntsman Gay Corporation. So Huntsman should ring a bell. And, you know, he's part of what? He's part of all of these societies. And on top of it, you know, he's part of like communistic stuff. Like, come on, you know. I just think they're trying to herd the cattle, and they're trying to cull the ones that have the bloodlines. That's what I think 2020 was about, to be quite honest. I think it had nothing to do with illness. I mean, that's the excuse, you know?
I think that's a pretty accurate understanding of everything unfolding. Heidi, this was great. Before we close out, is there anything that we didn't go over yet that you'd like to cover? Any final thoughts?
I just think this is fascinating. Of course, we didn't get into all of the different connects with, you know, the money and the corporations. United Fruit is an amazing one if people want to go down that, because it leads to your very president, because it goes to Roy Cohn. And the president of the United States was absolutely involved because it goes into the Mary Carter Paint Company. And he ends up with, you know, Atlantis Hotel. Like, tell me he doesn't know some stuff. You might want to watch it, you guys, because he's currently kidnapping people and taking countries. But, hey, well, who am I to say? Whatever. Yeah. There also is a fascinating thing that a friend of mine told me, and I don't want to say who it was right now, but I know it absolutely happened. He's in another country. At the time they did the takeover, all of his crypto changed into the coin for the digital coin for America at the same exact time.
There it is.
Without his permission. Yeah. What do I think it's about? Domination, and it always has been. There is elites that do not care about you. You are an ant to them. And unless you have those bloodlines, which they know where they are and who they are and how they are now, because they got a swab on every damn one of us. They do. Whether you had that test or not, if you've ever had a surgery, if you ever had your heel pricked on your soul when you were born, right? On your soul. They know who we are. And people that have never heard about this genealogy in other countries, clear over in France, they're like, oh, my family won't be in there. I'm like, bet. Go check it out. And they're there.
Yeah. Well, right on, Heidi. This was great. I'm going to end your share for a minute so we can close out. Before we go, any plans for 2026? Anything exciting?
Yes. So I am doing a lot more organization. I've listened to my fans, just so you guys know, everything is categorized now because Heidi's brain just goes where it goes. People always ask, like, why did you do that? Ma, I read something and it was interesting. So that's how that works. But it's confusing for other people. So what I did is I categorized all of my podcasts, like mine is unfiltered, right? Unfiltered Rise. So it's like unfiltered Mormonism, unfiltered esoterica,
nice.
unfiltered history. So you can find those things. If you don't want to learn about all of them, you can go and pick and choose. But I am starting a actual real Mormon history one because the history is fascinating and it's just going to be less biased. Hopefully, I can contain myself that way. And I want to show people exactly what happened. Like, who brought the Fed into, Utah? We were supposed to be a sovereign state of Deseret. So that's everything there. I'm going to be doing all of that, and I've been prepping for it for about 6 months now. So getting a bunch of books and all the things. So I feel it's important.
Heidi, this was awesome. Thank you so much. We're definitely going to be doing this again. There's so much great information that you cover that we could go over. Before I let you go, remind the audience how they can find you.
Amazing. Well, I always love coming on, and I appreciate you so much. And can't wait to talk to Cory again because, Thornly, I know you follow his work, right? He's a Mormon.
Of course he is, yeah.
And so anyway, check me out for all this Mormon dirt at Unfiltered Rise Podcast. I'm everywhere podcasts are served. You're going to get way more on Spotify or other pod chasers like Apple, whatever. Just because YouTube is funny that way. You'll get me once a week on there, hit or miss, but I'm all over.
Awesome.
Check me out.
Thank you again. Until next time, everyone, have an excellent evening. We'll talk again tomorrow. If you're looking to start your therapeutic microdosing journey, but don't know where to start, especially when looking for the highest quality ingredients, including nootropics, and what you'd expect from a true microdose capsule, check out our friends at Brainsupreme. They offer the absolute highest quality ingredients so you can start your microdosing journey, knowing that you're getting top-notch ingredients. To find out more, visit their website using that link right in the description, and you can get 15% off your entire order. Hello, friends. I am so excited to tell you about Independent Media Token. Independent Media Token is a brand new way to show your support for independent media without having to donate a dime. Independent Media Token is a cryptocurrency on the Solana blockchain designed to generate funds to promote and foster the growth of independent content creators, allowing them to engage in their art without having to worry about being demonetized. Through a network of media partners, of which you yourself can become a part of, Independent Media Token's goal is to ensure the powers that be can never cut off all of our areas of funding and censor the only free voices left in the world. Join the movement today. You can pick up Independent Media Token using Phantom Wallet or the Solana wallet of your choice, where you can easily swap your Solana for IMT. Grab some IMT today and remember to always know your team. To learn more, visit independentmediatoken.com or use the link right in the description. Are you and your family prepared for an emergency? Maybe the fake alien invasion? Now is the time to prepare yourself and your family for any event. Check out Prep Starts Now. Their mission is to provide high-quality preparedness products that empower individuals and families to be ready for any situation. They're committed to delivering reliable, trusted gear to ensure your safety, security, and peace of mind in times of need. Their product selection is carefully curated to provide you with the essential gear you need to stay prepared. From emergency kits to tactical tools, every item is chosen for its reliability and practicality. Prep Starts Now understands the importance of family, and their goal is to equip you with everything you need to build a solid plan for your family's preparedness. In today's ever-changing world, being prepared is more important than ever, and Prep Starts Now is here to help you and your family stay ready with quality products and practical guidance. Use the link in the description and get 15% off your order.